As I mentioned before about home blindness, I found that when I go on photo walks with a local, I help remove their home blindness by noticing things that they've walked past 1,000 times.
Welcome to the Big Photo Hunt Podcast, a show where we talk with aspiring and professional photographers to help us all grow and improve our photography together. I'm your host, Ken Deckinger. If you're one of our community members and you'd like to be a guest on the show, please visit bigphotohunt.com for more information. Last summer, my wife and I went to Italy for a little over 3 weeks. It was awesome. My wife and I can both work remotely, so we went to mainland Italy, and then we went down to Sicily, rented a house on the ocean. It was really cool, and I love the photography in Italy. So we were talking about doing another trip this summer, and I yelled out, "Let's go back to Italy." You know, she's like, "Well, why don't we go somewhere we haven't been?" And she suggested Norway, and I was like, Norway? Norway? I don't have anything against Norway. I don't have anything against the Norwegians. It just hasn't necessarily been top of my list. I just haven't really wanted to go there. So I started to consider it. And I was obviously very curious about the photography in Norway. So I start doing a little research. I come across this YouTube account called the Justine Files. And there's a woman, her name is Justine, and she's a photographer, and she's traveling in Norway. And her videos are really helpful, and I'm understanding what the landscape is like, and I'm understanding the kind of photography there. Next thing you know, I'm like 4 videos deep, and I say to myself, I gotta have Justine on the podcast. And so that's my guest today, Justine from the Justine Files on YouTube. We're going to talk about Norway. We're going to talk about photography in Norway. We're going to talk about photo walks and just how to organize them and how to find people to do photo walks with when you are traveling. Justine, I am so happy that you're here. How are you and where are you?
I'm good. I'm in the middle of nowhere, Ontario, Canada. It's raining outside.
I remember you mentioned you live in like the forest, and I was like,
yeah,
where is that? So it's in Canada, in Ontario.
Specifically, it's the Muskoka region.
I've been to Toronto, and then I was
born and raised there.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I've been to, is it Creemore? Maybe like outside of Toronto or something?
Let me just zoom out. Okay, that's close to Barrie, which is in the middle point of where I live. So however long you drive from Toronto to Barrie or Creemore, and then drive the exact same length north, and you'll hit where I live. It's a big region of cottagers and vacation people.
So Creemore, at least, I haven't been up there, but Creemore was gorgeous. I mean, with all the cottages, and it was beautiful. Could we start with just tell everyone who you are and how you got into photography and what photography is to you and your whole journey there?
Sure. I'm a hobbyist photographer from Ontario, Canada, and I've been shooting since 2005, and it all started with a boy. So I didn't pick up a camera at first for art. There was a band. I had a crush on a guy in the band, of course, and I had a point-and-shoot camera. And as you probably know, point-and-shoot cameras in 2005 were potatoes, and that's where it started. Every photo just looked like garbage. And I wanted to learn how to make my photos not look like garbage in the most challenging environments. So I didn't start taking photos in the best lighting conditions. I started taking photos in the worst lighting conditions. And I think that was how my journey started and stuck, because there's just rabbit holes that you can go down on. And I got my first DSLR around that time. It was the Canon Rebel XT. I still have it. It still works. And then I paired that with the nifty 50 f1.8 lens. And that carried me through many years of concert photography. And I don't think I kept in touch with the guy, the crush. But I kept in touch with the love for photography. And photography is something that has been through my life for so long in various stages of my life. I've stopped and started over and over. And I think that's a very common thing that happens to a lot of people with their photography or their hobbies.
It is interesting about the whole start and stop thing, right? I'll see it with our members on the Big Photo Hunt where they'll post photos for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks in a row, and then I won't see them for 3 months. And then they come back. And I get that way too. And do you think it's part of just creativity? Like, what is that?
That's a great question. It can be driven by either inspiration from a person or a crush, or it could be driven or inspired by a point of travel that you had for 2 weeks. Like I traveled to Europe recently, and that brought out like thousands of images that I still to this day have to go through and edit and select the best ones. But you have this rush of like sudden output that you want to share, and it's so intense that you post every day. And then when you get to the end or bottom of the pool, you just go silent. And it's because the Swedish have this saying called home blindness, basically translates to home blindness, meaning you get so you can't see anything remarkable in your immediate surroundings or your hometown. And people stop posting or sharing photos because they're so immune to whatever that's happening around them, or so blind to whatever is happening around them. And so there's this feeling of like needing to travel to take photos or create content, so to say. And so that's why people can start and stop. And then I also mentioned earlier about the crush. Sometimes people inspire us. We can meet people or artists or photographers that inspire us to make something similar or impress them or want to get their attention. And so a lot of creation of art comes from even just wanting to get their attention, you know. But in the process, the interesting thing is that, you know, the muse or the inspiration can come and go, and the core passion, task, action of making things sticks around. And that's ultimately what I hope, you know, happens when those kinds of instances come across. It can also even be from watching movies. You go on a binge or watching like a series, and some series that you watch these days, they're so cinematic, they're so beautiful. And that can also evoke a need to also create and add your own spin to it. But then when the season or the series ends, you know, it's almost like mourning a friendship or mourning the loss of a loved one. And then you just kind of plateau a little bit. You need to kind of go back and marinate something else in the future. But yeah, peaks and valleys, it's natural.
I've tried to take that blindness off because I live in Boston, which is a major city in the United States. Mm-hmm. And I know people love it. And, you know, they want to photograph the city. And for me, I am just completely, and I've talked about this before, I'm just completely bored by it. And I've forced myself to get out there and see it differently.
Yeah.
But it's so hard. And I know it's cool. Like, I know it's a beautiful city and there's so many people and things to shoot, but I get so bored. And so I totally get the travel thing. Hey there, it's Ken. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Big Photo Hunt podcast. I'm really happy you're here. I wanted to just punch in and tell you about the Big Photo Hunt in case you weren't yet a member. We're building the world's most friendly online photography community, and it's pretty friendly. Not to mention, it's the best place for amateur photographers to grow by sharing photos and being inspired by other members. Members post only one photo a week. Then the community upvotes their favorite photos. At the end of each week, we celebrate the most upvoted photos. It's really fun. So if you're not yet a member, check it out, bigphotohunt.com, and reach out to me if I can answer any questions. I'm around. Now back to the show. So I don't really enjoy landscape photography that much. This past weekend, my wife and I were up in Maine. We're in Portland, Maine. We went out to this island called Peaks Island, which was, it's okay. It was an island, but it's got a rocky coast, like a New England rocky coast. And I was shooting. I was just like, this is terrible. And I just looked at one of those photographs yesterday. I was editing it a little bit and it actually came out really cool. And so now I'm inspired to go shoot more landscape. Like,
Yeah,
you're motivated maybe by your own success in a way sometimes, or something that feels right to you. And then you can kind of get out there.
totally. Yeah. Landscape and street are so two very different genres of photography. But if you probably have seen my Instagram feed, like there's a lot of like forest photography and then there's also street photography. And I kind of had like a little bit of a identity crisis, so to say, of like, what kind of work should I be putting out? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as long as you find it interesting. You shouldn't really have to like pigeonhole yourself into like one type of genre just because it's what people think they want.
I agree 100%. And I'm not a great photographer, right? Like I'm learning. If you look at my work now compared to like a year ago or 3 years or 5 years ago, I mean, I've got
We're all
years.
learning. No, if you're not cringing at something that you posted a week ago, then you've waited too long. So
I cringe a lot. But if you look at my Instagram feed, there's just stuff all over because for me, it's just what I enjoy. And as long as I'm getting enjoyment out of it.
that's all that matters.
Let's talk about Norway.
Sure.
So I just don't want to spend 3 weeks in Norway if the photography is just not my style. And so
Wow, 3 weeks.
Yeah. What's that?
That you said 3 weeks?
Is that a lot or a little?
3 weeks is, well, I mean, 3 weeks is a lot, and it's also very little. Depends on who you ask, depends on what you want. For me, so I've been to Norway 3 times, and the past trip that I went on this past spring was 4 days. I know that sounds so short, but the thing is that I don't have a whole lot of paid time off from my full-time job. And so I have to, make do with whatever time I have. I don't drive either. So I was doing this on a hard mode because northern Norway, there's no public transit, or there's very little frequent public transit. And so you have to drive. So when I went to Norway, I traveled around there with just guided tours and trains and charter buses. And I covered northern Norway, or at least the Lofoten Islands, in 2 days. I took a night train, an 18-hour night train from Stockholm all the way to Narvik, Norway. And it was a lovely, lovely train trip. But going back to photography, Norway is beautiful. You can't take a bad photo. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to be there for so long to take a photo of all the mountain ranges in all of its lighting conditions. I think the thing is people have a lot of expectations about the photo they want to take in Norway. And if you budget so much time there and you don't get that one photo with that specific expectation and photo in mind, you'll get disappointed. So I think the trick of like being able to visit a place as beautiful as Norway and come away with some photos you're happy with and come away feeling satisfied is to lower your expectations. And yeah, like combining the beauty of Norway with lowered expectations, it's a dynamite combination for coming away with like the most beautiful photos you'd want to print and put on in your home.
I have zero expectations. I don't even know what is there. I know there's a lot of trees and mountains.
Mountains.
Yeah. And I know that. So first of all, it sounds like we should probably go to some other Scandinavian countries, not just stay in Norway.
Yeah. I mean, there's Sweden, there's Finland, but the most scenic of all of Scandinavia is Norway.
And how was that night train? Because I love night trains. And there's a new one, the night jet. It's a new night jet with like these
capsule cabins. Yeah,
yes.
I want to take that. I think that's through Vienna to Berlin. And a few other routes. But yeah, the night train from Stockholm to Narvik, Norway, was 18 hours. It's in a bit of an older train. I can't recall exactly how old it is, but I love, I love trains, and sleeping on a train, that was my first time. And it won't be my first time, my only time. It feels like sleeping in a baby bassinet. If you sleep well in cars, if you sleep well in any kind of moving vehicle, that's an excellent way to reach another city, like a whole other country too. It's above the Arctic Circle, Narvik, Norway, and so you cross the Arctic Circle in the middle of the night, And you go from like no snow to like snowy landscapes in less than a day
That's cool.
without driving. So
That's cool. I've been on a night train. I feel like I was in the south of France. It was a night train all the way through France into, it wasn't going into, I think I was on my way to Amsterdam or something like that. And I think eventually I stopped and had to switch. I loved it. I love that kind of travel. I want to just talk more about the photography specifically in Norway, what people can expect. But you mentioned you've been to Norway. Did you say three times? Do you have family there or do you love it that much?
Oh, I may as well have family there. I don't know. So I have a friend who I worked with in Canada, and she moved to Norway during the pandemic. And I decided to visit her. And so ever since I started visiting her, she's a really close friend of mine too. I just fell in love with the country and then went back every year since then. I don't know. I think if you talk to anybody who has visited Norway, they'll say they love it. And it's hard to describe. You really have to go there to see it for yourself and experience it. I think also I really relate to the culture and I guess the behaviors of Norwegian people, which is like really quiet, introverted, non-confrontational. They're really funny people too. And so like funny in a very like dark way. So I really identify with the people and I love how everything just works there.
I am not confrontational, just for the record.
Yeah, I
am very, yeah. I'm big. Like I'm actually physically large, and I'm like 6 foot, about 230 pounds. So like I'm a large presence, but I'm also like a large presence. I know that about myself. My point is that I'm not confrontational, and I think that Norwegians would love me. Okay, so back to photography. It's a lot of landscapes. It sounds like if you're traveling, obviously there's some cool travel photography. Maybe you want to, the experience of the train, the experience of the bus. To address your question about the car, like we may have a car, we may not. I don't know. Right now, this trip is not even happening because I had no idea if I wanted to go and I was stalling on it. And so that's why I literally searched Norway photography. And I'm like, I'm not going to a country if the photography is going to be me and like, I don't know, just a bunch of like trees, which it apparently is, but it's apparently beautiful trees.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mountainous regions are very specific areas. So there's like additional research you have to do to make sure you're not stuck in some place that's just something you could see in Boston. Catching also the correct season to see northern lights. It's a puzzle and a game to determine where to look and where to see the good stuff, which is, I think, what draws me to Norway and what draws a lot of people to Norway.
I'm sold. You've got me sold. If my wife is listening to this, all right, book it. Let's go. She won't listen to this, by the way. She doesn't listen to my podcast. Do you listen to my podcast, Jess? We'll see if she answers that. So one more thing I want to talk about with you is photo walks, because I know you went on a photo walk when you were there. Mm-hmm. Big fan, but I just want to let you know, I was in my quest to better understand Norway. I did a little research and I found some fun facts. So I want to just rattle a few of these off to you because I don't know if you know these, but for me, I was really kind of pumped to know this stuff about Norway. First one I found is that it has the most tunnels in the world. It has over 1,000 tunnels. That's kind of cool. Norway is the first country to ban deforestation, which I like. That's good.
Totally.
Keep the trees. It's very important to me. And finally, we can thank Norway. Apparently, the idea of putting salmon in sushi was actually, did you know this? It was actually marketed to the Japanese to start convincing them to use their salmon in the 80s. And that's why we have salmon sushi.
Right. Yeah. No, sushi was primarily tuna based, I think. And they met a Norwegian and said, all right, let's shake hands and give us your salmon.
Amazing.
I love salmon sushi more than tuna, though. So
I like salmon. I obviously love salmon, but I love tuna sushi. Have you been to Japan, by the way?
Yeah, I've been there twice in 2019 in the same calendar year. I loved it that much.
Me too. I've been there twice. Loved it that much. I love Tokyo. I love Japan. People ask me what my favorite cities are. It's usually Paris, Tokyo, London, New York in that order. New York would be higher, but I live here. I lived in New York for 15 years, so I feel like it's lost a little bit of its exotic flair.
Right. You have to miss it for a bit before you go back.
Exactly. Let's talk about photo walks.
Yeah.
I love photo walks. I had some questions for you about the photo walk that you went on when you were in Norway, and would love to know like how you organized it, because I think as a traveler going to another country, meeting up with another photographer is something that I have started doing over the past year, and I've really enjoyed it. And it has really helped me see a city differently and taken me to places that I wouldn't have been able to go to myself.
Yeah, totally. Photo walks started out for me as a way to see a city through a local's eyes, and also showing the local what I see as a foreigner through my eyes. As I mentioned before about home blindness, I found that when I go on photo walks with a local, I help remove their home blindness by noticing things that they've walked past 1,000 times. And it was also just like wanting to be curious about other people's creative approaches. For me, like I learn best by observing and also doing. So in photo walks, you're doing both, observing and doing and taking pictures. They are also benefiting because they're seeing how I'm also approaching my photos, if they're any good. And I'm benefiting by observing how they approach a frame, composition, notice light, how they deal with bad weather, and also just in general, just it's good to connect with people and other human beings, because so much of photography I've noticed is so on our phones and so consuming like first and not creating first. And so I wanted to flip that around and put creating and connecting with people at the forefront in my photography, and make the sharing on Instagram very, very low on the list. And that's why I don't even post that often on Instagram. And like how I really organize them, it started out with following certain YouTube photography creators and people who also like can empathize and relate to a lot of the struggles of YouTube creators and any kind of content creation. I followed Instagram accounts that I really admired their work, but not just their work, it's also their personality. If they come across as someone with the same energy and vibe in their stories, in their reels, in their captions, their selection of photos and videos in their carousels. It sounds like I'm like doing some weird CIA work, but you know, I'm evaluating them.
Or you're just a creep and like everyone should
Yeah.
just stay away, but that's up to you. I'm not.
It's the
I'm
truth. It's the unspoken truth that I think a lot of people don't want to admit, is that we are evaluating each other online all the time. And once I have evaluated someone that I feel comfortable and safe with, and I know that is like, how do you even do that? How do you determine that? It's intuition and also just like instinct from my engagement with any of them. Then I just say, hey, I'm planning to be in Europe on these dates. It would be great to meet up for coffee and a photo walk. And many of them, after I've built some kind of rapport or relationship with them online, agree. And then it happens. But there's a lot of like pre-work that happens. You can't just cold reach out to somebody and be like, hey, I'm going to be in this place, let's meet up. And I think that is really true in any kind of networking, whether it's getting a job, landing a brand deal. Like it's not necessarily who you know, but who knows you as well. And typically photo walks, varies. Your marriage mileage may vary. For me, it's like about 3 to 5 hours. Can go on longer if, we have like a good connection. But before we even meet up, we set out a route. And in some photo walks, we just walk. We don't even have like a plan. In my last YouTube video with Rick Bebbington, he's a YouTuber and a photographer from the UK. He's from Manchester, but we visited London together and he had no idea where to go in London. I had no idea where to go in London. We just had like a route map from Alan Shaler's video about street photography in London, and we based our route based on that. And it was fun too. It was fun to also go on a photo walk with someone who's also seeing the city with fresh eyes too. So it doesn't always have to be with someone who is a local and knows a lot about the place. So I like to change it up, but I'm very methodical and thoughtful about who I go on photo walks with, because it's also social battery and social energy you are expending, because it can be the first time that you meet them too in real life. And sometimes they can be nervous, they can be chatty, too chatty, to the point where you're not even taking photos anymore. So it's like, it's a balance. And it's also the photos are actually really secondary in photo walks, but it is a gateway to connection.
You just answered every single one of my questions.
Oh,
so thank you. The only thing that I was going to ask you, and you touched on this, is the idea about, are you actually able to take the photos you want? And are
sometimes,
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
It's funny. I like to think everything is secondary. There actually is no primary goal in photo walks. The photos are secondary. The friendship is secondary. The seeing the city is secondary. Everything is, again, the theme here is lowering your expectations. So if you lower your expectations in all three areas, you're going to have fun regardless.
I want you to know that for this podcast, I want you to have the lowest expectations.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it. I agree with you. I love photo walks. The few experiences that I've now started, like going to other countries or cities and reaching out to people, I've had a terrific experience. And I do agree with you about the relationship. The people that I have, for the most part, connected with are actually Big Photo Hunt members. And so in our little community, I've gotten to know them. They've gotten to know me. And I think you're right on. It is about the vibe. It is about the ability to connect with someone. I also love, though, just going out myself, going into a city and just going, and taking the subway back to wherever I started or not, and just get lost. It's a very it's not meditative, but it's a very is it? It's like a very but it's a very it brings me back. It's an experience to be with myself and be calm. For
sure. Yeah. It's like taking your brain for a walk and you're taking your heart for a walk. And it's not just, the goal is not always taking the photos. And I wanted to touch upon this real quick about solo photo walks, because there is a little bit of a debate going on in the comment section of my YouTube videos about photo walks with other people. That just sounds awful. And I get the whole lone wolf, persona that people love to tout or wear a badge of honor. And that's totally fine too. But knowing myself, I know that if I were to try to go on a photo walk by myself in a city that I don't know, most times I would listen to my body and just go back to my hotel after an hour, because I live such a sedentary lifestyle that I would just give up after an hour. But when you have someone else to hold you accountable, you're likely to go through the entire 5 hours, 8 hours photo walk throughout the city, see so much more. And you're better off as a result, because not only did you have a great time with somebody else and saw a lot more, you didn't cave to your tired aging body, because it takes so much to go across the ocean and or go anywhere. Sometimes just leaving your house can be so difficult for some people. And I also want to touch upon the accessibility of it. If you can't fly across the ocean, if you can't go travel somewhere, you absolutely can go on a very fulfilling photo walk with somebody or by yourself. If you just hold yourself accountable. At the end of the day, it's accountability.
I agree with everything. The only thing I'm different on is the idea that I'll go out for an hour and come back to my Airbnb or hotel. I'll stay out all day myself.
Yeah. No, it's everyone's motivated differently. I need an accountability buddy. I am very lazy, and that was actually in the title of one of my YouTube videos, was how photo walks cured my laziness and loneliness.
I'll go find that video. Just so you know, your videos are great because you're very authentic, but they're also calming.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's Like sometimes some of these YouTube videos on photography,
They're yelling at you.
yeah, and like all this stuff. And there's some that are great, right? But you get a video, it's like, here are the 5 things that I'm going to tell you to do that you're doing wrong. One, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't watch this.
Yeah, I was very methodical and deliberate with how I chose to carry and edit myself on YouTube, because I felt like there was this missing area where people can just watch a video and have a steady heart rate. I feel like a lot of photography YouTube and a lot of YouTube, everything's got to be fast edits and like, keep your attention and, hook you in. And that's great for retention and all those wonderful things to, make money and keep the ads rolling. But sometimes people would really appreciate something that's just calming, therapeutic, and feels like we're just chilling with a friend.
Yeah. But you also have a storyline, and that there's always there is a story arc, whether it's intentional or not. And that is also as engaging as quick cuts and, things like that. And so
Thank you.
I think it's good. It's not like my style. I couldn't do that, but in a way that's what makes your videos they're yours. And that's cool. Before we wrap everything up, I have 3 questions that I end every episode with. You probably heard this before, but before I do that, is there anything that I didn't ask or mention or something that maybe you feel like you want the world, or at least the people listening to this podcast, to know?
Oh gosh.
There doesn't have to be. You can say, no, Ken, there isn't. That's okay too.
I think sometimes on photo walks, I come home with a great photo, and sometimes I just come home with a clearer mind. That's all.
I'm going to let the silence speak for that. Great. I love it. All right. 3 questions. I ask everybody these 3 questions at the end of the episode. The first is, what camera system do you use?
Sony. I used to be a hardcore Canon shooter. I still have some of my Canon cameras from back in the day, but I am firmly planted in Sony, and I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. I'm a hybrid shooter, so I do video and photo, and Sony does a great job for both.
Question number 2, what's your favorite genre to shoot and why?
Oh, I guess like trying to pick who your favorite child is. I think I would say street photography, simply because it's accessible to everyone, or at least anyone who's got access to street or cities. And I just love how you can never take the same photo ever again. It's capturing the decisive moment, and it'll never happen again.
And final question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you get that itch to just get out there and shoot photos?
Oh gosh, it changes every day. But probably I would say 9 is a reasonable reasonable guess. Yeah.
It's a respectable answer. Where can people find you on YouTube, online, Instagram, everywhere?
Yeah. So on YouTube, I'm youtube.com/@Justine Files. And on Instagram, I'm Justine.Files.
And I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for being here and for your insight. Really great to chat. If you're ever in Boston, you want to go on a photo walk, and there is no obligation to call me. But if you do want someone to take you around, or just want a friend to go get some lobster rolls or cannolis,
nice.
Look me up. I'm here, and I'll take you around. And
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Our next show will feature more valuable stories from our community members. If you'd like to audition to be a guest, please visit bigphotohunt.com for more information. Thanks again for listening today.